recently been reviewing a couple of articles about AI, and it's pretty interesting that it's such. It reminds me almost of the space race. But everybody wants to be first. Everybody wants to be, if you're not first, you're last. That's what most people say. But it's kind of interesting that it's always like big, but it's a small company. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that OpenAI was sort of founded or by Elon Musk. That it was part of the initial founding team. But now it's like Microsoft is like full force, like dumping millions of dollars, and now Alphabet, Google's parent company, going into their AI. It's like, I don't know where this is going. You were talking to me the other day about the comb, the futures comb, but where do you see this?
Well, I think I'm sympathetic towards large companies. I mean, I know a lot of people, they kind of see the big guy on campus and they don't sympathize with them. They're just like, oh, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of resources, I sympathize with them because they have a lot of responsibility to be the industry leaders. They have a responsibility to, if they do have the resources, to invest in this technology, because nobody else has the resources to invest in technology. Right? So it's very easy to kind of point the finger and say, oh, look at them, they're spending all this money and they're in this race to who becomes first. Yeah, but they're also innovating and paving the way for everybody else, right? So yes, we talked about the futures cone, and that's just in general, right? Humans, I think we tend to want to survive because it's kind of like germs, they're meant to survive, right? And as humans, we're meant to survive, and part of surviving is thinking about the possible risk that might threaten our survival in the future. Right? So we're constantly thinking about the future and trying to manage the risk that it causes for our survival, right? So it's so easy to say, oh, it's scary because it's new, right? But there's things that are completely not possible, that they're so far ahead in the future. Like, for example, when I was young, and I'm not, the Jetsons, for example, right? It's like flying cars, right? Flying cars are still not possible, right? It's still not in the realm of possibility. But, maybe some other things within the show are now possible, or maybe even a reality, right? So knowing how to differentiate between what's not possible, what is possible, what is probable, right? And what is preferable. And once you go through those kind of different stages, right, of classifying this potential risk or potential opportunity, you're able to capitalize and make the future a reality, so to speak, right? So when we talk about artificial intelligence 20, 30, 40 years ago, it might have been just something that we saw on cartoons, right? I don't remember what the bot's name was. Jenny but it was so far ahead. Now some of these things are reality, right? And they're a reality because somebody pinpointed it as preferable, probable, and likely to happen. And there was somebody, some company or some idea maker that made it a reality, right? So when we talk about, you asked me, this war right now happening between artificial intelligence and Google and Microsoft, and who's going to go first. And again, it's part of just human nature of us trying to survive and making something a reality and differentiating between what's possible, preferable, likely to happen. And I think with ChatGPT, it made it more real for everyone, which increased the demand of that technology. And what we're seeing here is two giants responding to the call to action to make these things a reality, and as they should, because they've been given these resources and they're now going to share it with the world, essentially, because whatever it is that they come up with, others will benefit from it.
Right. Okay. Hold on, just 1 second. I'm gonna do this. All right. Okay. All right. I'll cut back to me. Okay, and do you feel like, because I know people are concerned about how much you're feeding the beast, right? Feeding all this information, because ChatGPT it's been fed information up to 2021, sources say, but people are still pumping information into it. They're still asking it to learn more. It's becoming smarter. Do you think we're in a point where, as we mentioned right now, that it will start leaning more towards a benefit for people, or will it be, stealing jobs, as most people say? So, AI is gonna take over your job. But I mean, it's you still need to feed it the information. I mean, it learns, it crawls, it learns information.
So there's a loaded question.
Okay.
Two things kind of come up right away.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is governance. So feeding it, you called it, right? And kind of it's getting smarter and things like that. There is a little bit of a concern because legislation typically is slower, right, than technology, right? So technology runs at lightning speed. Legislation to govern takes time, right? Because there's politics involved, right? There's a lot involved, right? So this is where we kind of get into these privacy laws that are a little bit more mature in the European Union, when maybe depending on your geographical location, like ourselves in the United States, we haven't adopted some of the privacy laws that they have, right? So there's a lot of things that are still the wild, wild west because legislation hasn't come in to govern yet, right? So there is a risk there that technology might move faster than legislation, and that would create an area of opportunity or a risk, right? That we're not going to be able to kind of pivot fast enough, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. And then the second one that you said, well, what about it coming for our jobs? I saw a meme the other day, and it was a guy that was basically picking up dirt with a shovel. And that was like the before picture, right? And I was like, and it was looking at the tractor and saying, oh, that tractor is coming for my job, right? And I refused to use it, right? And then it showed the after kind of, and he was really, really happy in the tractor driving it. And instead of like one little piece of dirt, per shovel, he was picking up like 20, 30 pieces of dirt that would equivalent to 20 or 30 shovels, right? And he didn't have to do anything. He just literally had to move the little handles to make that. So it wasn't working with his body anymore. It was working with his mind, right? So that's what I see AI doing to our jobs, making them more effective and more efficient, and really allowing us to be happier and be more part of the creative process and kind of the analytical part where I don't think AI can do yet, right? It's still relatively young. So I don't think it'll replace us, but I could definitely make my job easier because I don't want to work harder. I'm sorry, I do not want to work harder. I want to work smarter. I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to be more creative. I want to innovate. I want to create. I don't want to do the legwork. It's just not what I want to do. And if AI can do that for me, why not, right?
Right. But when what you're saying, it's trying to the point is to make jobs, and your job, and independent of what you do, right? You're a creative person, you're a content creator, you're a designer, because there's a lot of tools out there that are benefiting. You got Midjourney, you've got Stable Diffusion, stuff like that for creators. There's also this part where it's going to create videos. I mean, out of nothing. But when it comes to, let's say, the tech aspect of it, let's say programmers, the developers, where do you see the key benefit of AI?
It's the same thing. Okay, trust me. The fun part of development is not writing the code. Okay, it's solving the problem and solving it faster and solving it better. So if it's able to tell ChatGPT, hey, spit out for me the code that I need in order for this to work, and it's going to do it in 10 minutes, and I can go about my day, and it's better. They're going to take that. Mm-hmm. That way they can spend most of their time in the creative process. Because believe it or not, developing is creative because you're problem solving, right? And you're kind of taking a problem and making it a non-issue, right? That creative process between problem and solution is what they like to do. The fact that they have to write code is really just part of the talacha, like we like to call it, right? Yeah. It's part of the day-to-day work. Mm-hmm. But if you're telling them they can get the solution without having to physically type out that code, amazing. Like low-code, no-code solutions. I don't think low-code, no-code, they always say, oh, it's going to replace the developer. No, it's not. Because the developer understands the problem and creates a solution. Right. And whether it's whatever tool they're using to make it happen, that's just the tools, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, well, when it comes to it, I think it's just going to be how you input the prompt or the question that you're asking GPT, ChatGPT or stuff like that. Like,
it's just inputs, outputs.
Yeah.
You know, it's because depending on what you put it, like, give me the top in X, right? Mm-hmm. The inputs are still the inputs, right? And I, as a human, dictate what I put. And I dictate the strategy, right? And I understand human behavior, right? AI is getting there, it's getting smarter. But my brain is still very powerful as a human. I understand EQ, IQ, the verbal, nonverbal cues, things that still they don't. Right. By they, I mean this new technology that we call AI, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, humans, I don't know, maybe because I'm a human. I'm like, we're very, very, very unique species. We're so smart.
I've seen as somebody that that's a content creator, quote unquote. I've been talking to friends of mine that are designers that are in that area of creativity, and I've seen both sides of the spectrum. Like people are saying like, oh, you know, people that do Midjourney or that do Stable Diffusion are not designers, and they're selling the creation. But at the same time, I think it's just a tool, because the other side of it is those friends that are designers, that are illustrators, they put the prompt in and the AI will pump out 3-4 images, and they use that to either modify what they got from the prompt, or they take inspiration from the drawing that it gave them. So I think it's at the end of the day, they're all tools. I mean, it's the way that you use them. I mean, in my case of being a content creator or a video producer, it's been helping me with scripts. You know, I have an idea, but I just can't really nail it down. So I'll just write, you know, this is the idea I have. Can you give me pointers, or can you give me bullet points, or can you write the script? And it'll give me the answer, but at the same time, it's not like I'm gonna use that answer. I'm just gonna use it for the final product. So I'll edit it, I'll do changes, I'll add, I'll subtract. So I think that's you gotta view it as a tool, and not be worried about it's gonna take my time.
It's the white page effect. It's kind of like when you sit down and you see that white page, like nothing. It's somewhat scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you're gonna write something, right, and it's blank, it's very vulnerable because you're gonna spit out your ideas into paper, right? So that just the initial white paper of kind of, hey, I'm about to expose myself to the world here with whatever it is that I write, makes it almost debilitating, right? The ability that these tools give you is you no longer start with a blank page. Obviously, you're going to make it your own, right? And you still have a voice, and you still have something to write about, and you still have something there, right? But it gets your creativity juices flowing.
Absolutely.
Because you're not starting from a blank page. Yeah. You're not starting from zero. So most of the time I end up, just deleting what I started with, right? And what I stay with is the chunk that came after, right? But it ignites that creativity and removes that blank page syndrome.
Yeah, I think that's what we should take from this. But okay, well, if you guys, thank you, Josie, for changing set.
No worries.
Thanks to you, everybody that's watching. If you like this video, please like on the YouTube channel, subscribe, share it to your friends, share it on social media, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
All right, thank you, Carlos.